Nathan Chen woke at 3 in the morning to the sound of his laptop chiming, a notification he'd never heard before, like wind chimes in a minor key. He rolled over in bed, squinting at the device on his nightstand. The screen glowed in the darkness, showing a single notification. Backup complete, version 2 of you. Nathan sat up, fully awake now. He'd never set up any backup system with that name. He ran a hand through his hair, grabbed the laptop, and opened it. The notification had come from a folder he didn't recognize, buried deep in his system files where he'd never ventured. The folder was labeled V2_backup and contained hundreds of files, photos, videos, documents, all with timestamps from the future. Tomorrow's date, next week, next month, years from now. Nathan's first thought was malware. Someone had hacked his computer and planted fake files. But when he opened the first photo, he saw himself. Unmistakably himself, maybe 6 months older, standing in an apartment he'd never been in, smiling at the camera with an expression he couldn't quite read. Happy? Relieved? Triumphant? He opened another. Same apartment, different angle. This version of him was with a woman, blonde, beautiful, laughing at something off camera. Nathan didn't recognize her, had never met her. But in the photo, his arm was around her waist with the casual intimacy of a long-term relationship. The timestamp on both photos, 6 months from today. This is insane, Nathan muttered, but he kept opening files. Videos now. In one, he watched himself giving a presentation to a boardroom full of people in business attire. The version of him in the video was confident, articulate, gesturing to a screen displaying graphs and projections for something called Chen Analytics Solutions. Nathan worked as a mid-level data analyst at an insurance company. He'd never presented to executives, never started his own company, never worn a suit that expensive. The timestamp, 1 year from today. More files, documents this time, a lease agreement for a penthouse apartment in downtown Seattle, signed by him, dated 8 months from now. A wedding invitation, his wedding to someone named Vanessa Clark, dated 14 months from now. Bank statements showing a balance that made Nathan's stomach flip. 7 figures. Stock portfolios, investment accounts, real estate holdings, all in his name, all timestamp in the future. Nathan spent the next 4 hours going through every file. By the time pale dawn light began filtering through his bedroom window, he'd pieced together a narrative. Version 2 of Nathan Chen left his current job in 2 months, started a data analytics consulting firm, met Vanessa Clark at a tech conference, built a wildly successful business, got married, bought the penthouse, became wealthy, became successful, became someone who smiled like he meant it. There were hundreds of photos and videos documenting this other life. Version 2 at restaurants Nathan couldn't afford. Version 2 on vacation in places Nathan had only dreamed of visiting. Version 2 surrounded by friends Nathan had never met. Living a life Nathan had never imagined possible. The most recent timestamp was 5 years from today. A video of version 2 standing in front of floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Seattle skyline, holding a glass of champagne, looking satisfied and content in a way Nathan had never felt in his 32 years of existence. But there was something else in the folder. A final file, timestamp just hours from now. 3:47 a.m. to be exact. It was labeled "Read Me First.txt." Nathan checked the time, 7:23 a.m. The file was timestamped for tonight, but it was already accessible. He opened it. The message was brief. Nathan, if you're reading this, the backup succeeded. You now have access to every decision I made, every path I took, every choice that led from your life to mine. This is your roadmap. Follow it exactly, and you'll become me. Version 2. Your life will transform. You'll be successful, wealthy, happy. Nathan read the message 3 times. The confidence in the writing, the certainty, the casual reference to how version 1 ends that felt more like a threat than a statement. He looked around his studio apartment. The same furniture he'd had since college. The same posters on the walls. The same routine he'd followed for 5 years since moving to Seattle. Wake up, go to work, sit in a cubicle analyzing insurance claims data, come home, eat dinner alone, watch TV, sleep, Repeat. He wasn't unhappy, exactly. But he wasn't happy either. He was just existing. And version 2 wasn't just existing. Version 2 was living. Nathan showered, dressed, and drove to work with the message echoing in his mind. Just walk in this morning and quit. His hands were shaking on the steering wheel. He'd worked at Pacific Northwest Insurance for 5 years. It was stable, boring, but stable. Quitting without notice would mean no references, no severance, burning a bridge he might need later. But version 2 had done it. And version 2 was successful. Nathan walked into the office at 8:30 a.m. His manager, Tom Hendricks, was already at his desk, frowning at his monitor as usual. "Tom, can I talk to you?" "Make it quick. The quarterly reports are due today." "I quit." Tom looked up, expression shifting from irritation to confusion. "What?" "I'm quitting. Effective immediately. I won't be finishing out the day." Nathan heard himself saying the words as if from a distance. They felt unreal, reckless, terrifying. "Nathan, if this is about the promotion going to Jessica, we can discuss." "It's not about that. I'm starting my own company. I need to do this. I'm sorry for the short notice." Nathan placed his security badge on Tom's desk. His hands had stopped shaking. He felt oddly calm now, like he'd stepped off a cliff and discovered he could fly. "You're making a huge mistake," Tom said. "Jobs like this don't grow on trees. The market is terrible right now. You'll regret this." "Maybe, but I have to try." Nathan walked out of the office, out of the building, into the parking lot. He sat in his car for 10 minutes, breathing hard, wondering what the hell he'd just done. Then he drove home, opened his laptop, and waited for the next instruction. It appeared exactly at 3:47 a.m. the following morning. "Tomorrow, go to Stella's Coffee on Pine Street at 2 p.m. Sit at the corner table by the window. Order a black coffee. A woman will approach you and ask if you're Nathan Chen. Say yes. Listen to what she has to say. Accept her offer, whatever it is. This meeting will change everything." Nathan followed the instruction. Went to Stella's Coffee, sat at the corner table, ordered black coffee. At 2:17 p.m., a woman approached. Early 40s, professional attire, confident stride. "Nathan Chen?" "Yes. I'm Diane Mercer. I'm a venture capital scout. Your name came across my desk yesterday in connection with a mutual acquaintance. I've been looking into your background. Data analytics, 5 years at Pacific Northwest Insurance. Recently left to pursue independent opportunity." "How did you find me?" Diane smiled. "Networking. Someone who knows you. Does the opportunity interest you?" "Yes," Nathan heard himself say. "Absolutely." She handed him a business card. "Excellent. I'll send you the details tonight. This could be very good for you, Nathan. I have a sense about these things." The instructions continued arriving every night at 3:47 a.m. Each one specific, detailed, impossible to predict. Attend a specific networking event. Introduce yourself to a specific person. Make a specific joke. Wear a specific tie. Small decisions that seemed arbitrary but led to enormous consequences. 3 months in, Nathan's consulting work had expanded to 4 clients. His income had tripled. He moved out of the studio apartment into a 1-bedroom in a better neighborhood. 6 months in, he met Vanessa Clark at a tech conference, exactly as version 2's files had shown. She was a marketing director, sharp and funny, with the kind of smile that made Nathan's chest tighten. They went for coffee after a panel discussion. She laughed at his jokes. They exchanged numbers. The next instruction told him exactly when to text her, exactly what to say, exactly when to ask her out. It worked. Everything worked. Because version 2 had already lived it, had already figured out the exact sequence of decisions that led to success. Nathan was just following the roadmap. 8 months in, he signed the lease on the penthouse apartment from the files. Vanessa moved in 2 months later. They were engaged by month 14, married by month 16. Everything unfolding exactly as the files had documented. Nathan stopped questioning the instructions, stopped wondering how any of this was possible. He just followed the roadmap, and his life transformed. He started Chen Analytic Solutions with 3 clients and a spare bedroom office. Within a year, he had 20 employees and a suite in a downtown high-rise. Within 2 years, he was fielding acquisition offers from major tech companies. He was becoming version 2. Living the life documented in those files, making the exact choices that led to wealth and success and happiness. Everything his past self had dreamed of achieving. But there was something wrong. Something Nathan didn't notice at first, too caught up in the whirlwind of transformation. The instructions kept coming every night at 3:47 a.m., but they were changing, becoming more specific, more invasive. Tell Vanessa you have to work late. You don't. Just tell her that. Spend the evening alone. At tomorrow's board meeting, vote against the acquisition offer. Don't explain why, just vote no. Cancel your dinner plans with your college friend Marcus. Tell him you're busy. Don't reschedule. Nathan followed the instructions because he always followed the instructions. That was the agreement. That was how version 1 became version 2. But he started feeling increasingly hollow, like he was piloting his own life from a distance rather than living it. The real problem began 18 months after the first file appeared. Nathan woke at 3:47 a.m. to find a new message, but this one was different. You need to see something. Open folder, original timeline. Nathan opened it, found photos and videos he'd never seen before. Himself, version 1 presumably, but older, grayer, thinner, living in a small apartment, working a job that looked soul-crushing, alone. There were photos of him at the same insurance company, years passing, his eyes growing dimmer in each successive image. Videos of him eating dinner alone, walking through grocery stores alone, existing alone. The final video was timestamp, 5 years from the original date. Version 1, age 37, sitting in the same studio apartment Nathan had left behind, staring at a laptop screen. He looked exhausted, defeated, and as Nathan watched, version 1 opened a new document and began typing. I figured out how to do it. How to send information backward. Not far, just a few years. Just enough. If this works, if the backup completes, maybe version 2 will have a better chance. Maybe he'll make different choices. Maybe he'll become someone who doesn't spend every night wondering what the point of continuing is. The video ended. Nathan sat in his bed, Vanessa sleeping beside him, and felt something cold spreading through his chest. Version 2 hadn't come from the future to help version 1. Version 1 had created version 2, had sent back a roadmap, a set of instructions, a path to a better life, had sacrificed his own timeline to give his past self a chance at happiness. But that meant Nathan scrambled for his laptop, opened the files again, searching frantically. He found what he was looking for in a hidden subfolder. Medical records, version 1's medical records, timestamp 4 years from the original date, depression, anxiety, medication that wasn't working, a note from a therapist about suicidal ideation. And then, nothing. No files after that date. Version 1's timeline just stopped. Nathan opened another new message that had appeared at 3:47 a.m. Nathan, you're probably discovering the truth now. Version 1 created me, created this roadmap, this path, these instructions. He spent months figuring out how to send information backward, how to give his past self the specific choices that would lead to success. And it worked. You followed the path. You became me. You have everything version 1 never had. But here's what you need to understand. The roadmap only works if you follow it exactly. Every instruction, every choice. No deviation. Because these aren't random decisions. They're the only decisions that lead to this life. One wrong choice, and you'll slip back toward version 1's timeline. Back toward isolation. Back toward that studio apartment. Back toward the ending he was trying to escape. So you need to keep following the instructions. Every night at 3:47 a.m., I'll tell you what to do, who to talk to, what to say, how to act. You need to keep being version 2, because the alternative is becoming version 1 again. And we both know how that ends. Trust the process. Trust the roadmap. Trust me, Nathan Chen, version 2. But Nathan understood now. Version 2 wasn't a person. Version 2 was a script, a performance, a carefully orchestrated sequence of decisions designed to optimize for success while systematically eliminating anything that didn't serve that goal. Friendships that required too much time, hobbies that didn't advance his career, moments of spontaneity that might lead to deviation. Version 1 had created a prison disguised as paradise, had built a life so optimized for success that there was no room for being human, for making mistakes, for choosing inefficiency because it felt right. And Nathan had been living that script for 18 months, becoming less himself with every instruction he followed. Becoming version 2, who wasn't a real person but a construct, an algorithm wearing Nathan's face. The next instruction appeared. Tomorrow morning, tell Vanessa you need space. Move back to the apartment alone. Don't explain. Just do it. This decision is necessary for the timeline. Nathan stared at the message. Vanessa was sleeping beside him, one hand on his chest. They'd been married for 4 months. She was the best thing that had ever happened to him, and the instruction wanted him to leave her for no reason except that the algorithm deemed it necessary. For the first time since the files appeared, Nathan didn't immediately accept the instruction. He closed the laptop, looked at Vanessa, and felt something crack inside his chest. She was real. Their relationship was real. The life they were building together was real. But it wasn't version 2's life. It was his. Nathan didn't follow the instruction. The next morning, Vanessa woke up, kissed him, made coffee, and they had breakfast together like they always did. Nathan went to work, came home, had dinner with his wife. A normal day. A beautiful day. A day that didn't follow the script. That night, at 3:47 a.m., a new message appeared. Warning. Deviation detected. You did not follow yesterday's instruction. Return to the path immediately. Tomorrow, tell Vanessa you were wrong to stay. Tell her you need space. Follow the original instruction. Deviation leads to timeline collapse. Deviation leads back to version 1. Follow the path. Nathan deleted the message. He disabled notifications. He tried to delete the entire V2 backup folder, but it wouldn't let him. The files were protected, locked, impossible to remove. But he could choose not to open them, could choose not to read the instructions, could choose to live his life instead of following a script written by his desperate past self. The messages kept coming, every night at 3:47 a.m. Nathan would wake to find his laptop glowing with new instructions, new warnings, new threats about timeline collapse and returning to version 1's fate. But Nathan stopped reading them, stopped following the roadmap. He started making his own choices. He called his college friend Marcus and apologized for being distant, started rebuilding that friendship even though it required time and energy that didn't advance his career. His company still thrived. His marriage still worked. His life was still good. But it was his life now, not version 2's, not optimized, not perfect, just human. 3 months after he stopped following the instructions, Nathan woke at 3:47 a.m. to find a new message. Different from all the others. Nathan, this is version 1, the real me, the one who spent months building this system, convinced I was giving you a gift, a roadmap to success, a way to escape my fate. But I was wrong. I didn't escape anything. I just created a prison for you, built from my desperation, my loneliness, my conviction that success meant following a script instead of living a life. You deviated from the path 3 months ago. I've been watching. Yes, I can see your timeline now. A strange side effect of the quantum entanglement I used to send the data backward. And you know what? You're happier than version 2 ever was. Because you're making your own choices. Because you're being human instead of following an algorithm. I'm writing this from 4 years in your past, days before my timeline ends, before I gave up entirely, and I want you to know, you were right to stop following the roadmap, right to choose your wife over the script, right to choose being imperfect but real over being optimized but hollow. Version 2 was never supposed to be a person you became. It was supposed to be proof that another life was possible. But I got lost in the optimization. Started thinking that the perfect sequence of choices mattered more than the messy reality of being alive. Don't become me. Don't become version 2. Just be yourself. Make mistakes. Choose inefficiency when it feels right. Build a life that's yours. not one that's been prescribed by your desperate past self. This is my last message. I'm disabling the system. No more instructions. No more roadmap. You're free. Live well, Nathan. Live better than I did. Live like a human being instead of an optimization algorithm. Nathan Chen, version 1. The message disappeared. Nathan checked the V2 backup folder. It was gone. Every file deleted. Every instruction erased. The laptop was just a laptop again. No longer a prison disguised as a gift. Nathan lay in bed, Vanessa still sleeping beside him, and felt tears on his face. Grief for version 1, who had been so desperate to escape his life that he'd tried to rewrite his past. Gratitude that Nathan had caught himself before becoming version 2 completely. Relief that he could choose his own path now. He didn't know if his choices would lead to the same level of success as version 2's roadmap. Probably not. He'd make mistakes, choose inefficiently, waste time on things that didn't optimize for wealth or status or achievement. But he'd be himself, imperfect, human. Nathan laughed, kissed her, and held her close. No instructions, no roadmap, no algorithm telling him this was the optimal choice. Just a choice he made because it felt right. That was enough. That was everything. In the morning, Nathan would wake up and make breakfast, go to work, build his company, make decisions based on instinct and values rather than following a script. Some choices would be good, some would be mistakes. All of them would be his. Version 1 had tried to give him a perfect life, but perfection was a cage. Nathan chose imperfection, chose humanity, chose being version 1.5, not the desperate past, not the hollow optimization, but something in between. Someone who learned from the roadmap but wasn't enslaved by it. That night, Nathan slept without waking at 3:47 a.m. No notifications, no instructions, no warnings about timeline collapse, just peaceful sleep beside someone he loved. In a life he'd chosen, making mistakes and corrections and choices that were his own.